Namaste, my YouTube family. Aga again with Balance Lab. I wanted to connect with you again. I know it's been a while. I have been working on creating my online course. It will be energy work course with an emphasis on hypnotic elements that I use in my practice. And today I want to share a little bit of information about what this course will cover and give you some tips also on how to work with your energy centers. If you hear some noise from around, just know that I'm on an island called Korong Salom. It is a paradise on earth. I'm in Cambodia, actually facing the ocean and the sun. I'll show you the sunset later. There's some activity here, but very, very low. There is a little dive shop, restaurant, bungalows. There's no internet here, no music being played. It's very, very quiet, serene. Beautiful sunsets here. It's my last night, and I wanted to talk to you about part of what I will be offering in the course, because over the years, I have worked with so many types of people, but mainly Western men, right? And Western men is definitely suffering from anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of overactivity in the mind, not at all connectedness to the heart, to all of the tools that we have internally, energetically, to help ourselves. So that's where people like me come into service, come into light, because what I have discovered is if I combine energy work with certain trigger words, with certain guidance, where I help the mind to find a different way of expressing, a different way of creating an experience for a client, we can go much deeper in the session. And I've noticed that most of my clients come 2-3 times and they are quite okay. They don't need a lot of other help again. They've been given so many tools and the healing took place that they just carry on with those steps. And part of those steps that I teach in each session, which is 90 minutes long, is how to take care of your energy centers, in other words, chakras. And today I'm going to only be talking about the 7 basic chakras. And I always start with the base chakra, Mulabandha, and go to the crown. Obviously there are more energy centers, but we're looking at the 7 sort of filters of living on planet Earth, and each of them has a different function. And if you know how to neutralize, how to open up and release the build-up from your everyday life, you will stay in balance much, much longer after a session with me. So if you're thinking of becoming an energy healer, a practitioner, or maybe you are already, but you feel like you are stuck and your clients are not getting results, or you're not confident in what you're offering, you might want to watch this video. This will be probably useful for you. So the session with me, again, the energy work session, because I also do hypnosis, classic hypnosis, and I also offer quantum healing hypnosis. These are different sessions. But the energy work / Reiki with hypnotic elements consists of few parts. So I always start with actually relaxing the body and relaxing the mind, and I start the work with the head. I lay the client on the back. Of course, music, cleansing your space, all those other things. If you don't know, I'll be teaching in the course. There will be 3 parts of this course. But this is how I work. I first need to make sure that the mind is less rigid. I have access to the subconscious, I relax the body. And because I have very strong flow passing from my hands, I can quickly put people in the altered state. And when that happens, they start feeling like they're floating. Everything becomes much more malleable, flexible. And I give them that time. That takes about an hour, actually, before I go into working with chakras. So I gently kind of work this energy through their body, through their psyche, to make them feel very, very comfortable, very loved, very appreciated. And then what I do is I will put my hands, one hand underneath the tailbone and one underneath the neck. So it's almost like I'm holding them in space, like if they're babies, and we have that total trust that I can hold them, that they're absolutely safe. And safety is actually number one aspect that we need to work on in each session, to ground the client, the person, or yourself in that feeling of safety. So for that, I use certain example for each chakra in order to make people use their imagination connected with a feeling, with that sensation of safety. So when you think of a newborn, connected with a mother, right? There is this total bond, total trust. The child, the client in that case is a child, forms a bond and absolute trust in a mother. But when we grow older, what we can do is we can shift that awareness from our physical mothers to our Mother Gaia, Mother Earth. Because in fact, she's providing all the essentials for us. Without that, we can never expand. We can never really experience other forms of life, intelligence, growth. We need the shelter, we need the food, we need the oxygen, we need that safety. So when I teach people how to anchor their consciousness into the safety of Mother Earth, they feel immediately much more grounded, much more safe. We're able to clear the anxiety from overthinking. Again, my practice is mainly for Western mind, and we need to make sure, in order to actually achieve anything long term, that we feel stable. So this is for stability. I combine it with certain breath work as well, which you will learn in my course, to make sure, and usually with color as well, to make sure that that picture with the sensation stays deeply in the body. The body has a memory of this experience, so the client can connect with that when they do feel unstable. And then I go to the next chakra, up to the sacral chakra. That chakra is all about playfulness, being able to step into that energy of a child, explorer, someone who doesn't have an agenda, just wants to touch everything, wants to experience everything, taste, feel, and doesn't have really innate fear, because in fact we're only born with two fears: fear of falling and like fear of being dropped, and we have a natural resistance towards the fire. Every other fear is actually internalized, and we're conditioned, some of us, as children, we have been conditioned to fear things. And again, especially in Western countries, this trend is growing. I live mostly in America, and my clients are very much coming from the place of fear, not expressiveness, not being playful. So I talk about, when I work on the next chakra, about being a child, being a one who is not judging any experience, it's just allowing herself, himself, to be playful through all of the physical senses, because the chakra also relates to our physical expression. So not just sensuality, creating life, procreation, but new ideas, right? That's also creation. And everything that has to do with joy, when you're tasting a great refreshing drink, food, that could be listening to music, taking care of your body, what gives you joy, what kind of movement gives you joy, what kind of expression in the physical world gives you joy. So we need to also talk about how some people have shame related to some of this playfulness, because that will block the chakra, right? So again, starting from the base, going up, we need to cover all these aspects of our basic reality in order for the psyche to grow, in order for us to have a fulfilling life that is not stuck on 1 or 2 levels, but we do have a flow going upwards. So I address this, and then I move to the solar plexus. The solar plexus, again, we do the breath work, and I talk about the power center. So solar plexus is very much connected to the idea of self-empowerment, and it has nothing to do with overpowering others. It has nothing to do with arrogance or self-righteousness, or making other people feel inferior to you. It's very much about tapping into that well of power and being able to act precisely. So the point here is not to take a lot of steps and spend a lot of energy. It's about taking right action. It's about being precise in your actions. And what is the biggest obstacle in tapping into the power center? Of course, we need to work through fear. We need to tap into the pleasure center. But then we have our emotional connections with other people. And if they are imbalanced, or if we keep thinking, we keep obsessing about people, situations from the past, and it's not supporting anything in our life that is life affirming, that is about, joy, passion, and sustainability in a healthy way, it will drain your power center. It will also confuse you, and you will end up taking a lot of detours. So what I do in this part of my session, I help people unplug from these emotions. They're connected to people, situations in their life. So obviously we have to have a conversation before we start each session. What triggers the person? What kind of relationships we need to reframe in the client's body, the client's mind, to create at least neutral space, or when they're ready, if they're ready, how to unplug them completely from this blueprint in the mind that they need to somehow cultivate the same pattern of looking or feeling about that person that is affecting them emotionally in a negative way. So this is very important. I use several exercises to help clients, and again, I will cover that in the course. So the course will have 3 parts, so I don't know which one it will be. Probably not the first one, because first part is for self-healing and has nothing to do with healing others. First, you need to do your own healing work in order to be able to offer safely and powerfully that service to other people. And then I go to the heart center, and heart center obviously connects to the idea of self-love, self-love and support, being connected to unconditional source of support, knowing that you're always supported, knowing that you're always connected. So what happens in a heart, we often forget about the absoluteness that we are, and we end up using our power to create this idea of disempowerment and limitations. Again, this is often a product of conditioning, and we can use the power of a paradox when we talk about heart center. I often use the example of a tree. When you're looking at a tree, any kind of healthy tree, maybe you have your favorite in your park, you noticed, or you realize rather, that nature, trees for example, are never in a state of unconditional disallowance, or they're never in a state of undeservability or unworthiness. It just doesn't happen. Nature is always in a state of unconditional love, deservability, and allowance. That's why it can take all the nourishment it needs from the soil, from the sun, it can produce oxygen. Trees help distribute water all over the earth. So many magnificent purposes of the tree. But if the tree was in a state of undeservability, unworthiness, it would simply decay. It would deprive itself of its right to take the nourishment that it needs, if it will question its place in life. So it would become eventually like an organic matter, a food for other forms of life, which is okay, but that is not the primary purpose of being a tree. And the same is with us. Our primary purpose is not to deprive ourselves of the life force. Okay, so the power of the paradox is that if you feel disconnected, it means that you had to be connected first, right? So I use these words, these metaphors, in order to make people realize that they have created that state of the limitation. Maybe some people help them with that, like parents, like family members or partners and so on. But here is the point that I want to make. When you come to a session like this, you're going to realize a lot of things if you're open, and then you can take it to any degree that you want. So information is there and awareness is there. So what I'm going to teach you is how to present this information in a way that's not self-righteous. It's just perspective. It's just something that works, and we can observe how it works. And if people choose to match that frequency, great. If they don't, at least you gave them that opportunity. And this is your job, really, simply to give them that opportunity to recognize that things are not linear, things are very much layered. All perspectives are valid, but we can change perspectives, we can change certain blueprints in our mind. So this is the beauty of us. We're malleable, we're flexible, and if we start tapping into what's happening underneath the surface in the subconscious mind, things can really, really beautifully transform, and it doesn't have to take a long time. So this is what I love about energy work and quantum healing, that the changes can happen rapidly. Moving on, next we have your throat chakra, and the throat chakra is about setting boundaries and also self-expression. Setting boundaries, of course, it's about knowing your needs. What are your needs? Being able to meet your needs, being able to say no, being able to understand what it is for you to feel good, to feel worthy, and sort of eliminating things from your life that are not supporting that idea. So again, maybe there is some stagnant energy in the heart, and there's not a lot of unconditional allowance. We have to go back to this before we fully open up the throat chakra. Please remember that these energies are going up, so we have to alchemize from very basic stabilizing agents, and then we're alchemizing through the sacrum, solar plexus, heart, and then we go to the self-expression. Again, that self-expression is not coming from the mind. It's not something what you learn in books or outside. When you tap into all of the information that comes within your body, your DNA, your ancestral wisdom and stories, and everything that's is stored in your DNA, different expression starts to take place. So this is what I'm talking about. It's not talking from the ego or self-righteousness. It's not saying I'm right, you're wrong. Again, it's tapping into that inner flow, that expression, your voice. Sometimes that means being very quiet. Sometimes it just means not going to certain events. All of these chakras are very dynamic. I want you to look at them like muscles. They can expand, they can contract. And I often use an idea when I talk about a throat chakra of like a sphere that you can grow, make yourself bigger if you need to. Let's say you're delivering a speech, you need to make sure that you present yourself in a way that's very confident, right? So you can make yourself grow, make yourself bigger, make yourself a little bit more grandiose for a purpose, like an actor, to deliver what you're here to do. And sometimes it's very good to just shrink yourself to a tiny dot of light, put it somewhere safely inside you. Let's say if you're going through the security check and you just want to be sort of invisible, pass through, and be on the other side as quickly as possible. So that idea of being a ninja fluid like it's very useful, right? It's not about how big you are, it's really about how powerful you are, and kind of laser sharp with your actions, and about clarity. Again, clarity, that's in the solar plexus. So that is obviously personal work that we all have to do, but I will teach you how to bring this to the client so they can really benefit from working with you, if that's what's your preference. And then I move to third eye, and I ask the clients to look inwards and slightly up into that point. And the third eye represents a dreamer, a creator in you, someone who has unlimited potential to create scenarios, to create solutions. Just like Einstein said, your physical mind can only take you from point A to B, but your imagination can take you anywhere. It's like a preview of life's upcoming attractions. And when you tap into that imagination, dreaming, it's actually an act of creation. So we need to use it. We need to make sure that we bring people back into the idea of working with their dreams, with daydreaming, with frequently going to the altered states, light altered states, because that's where reality is being created. The conscious mind, that's only 5-7% of what is actually a creative factor in our reality. The rest is coming from the subconscious, but we need to tap into that. So talking about dreaming, and I also give another example, which I'm gonna tell you in the actual course, how to stimulate the third eye so that you actually start using your third eye as a projector, and observe at the same time what is being projected, and perhaps learn from it and absorb it internally. So with each chakra, always use 1, 2, sometimes even 3 techniques, depending on what I think will work for the person, in order to stimulate that aspect of them that is there but maybe have been dormant, right? We're all complete kids, we lack nothing. So the only thing is to make people aware of the tools that they have inside, and having them open these treasure boxes and start using these tools. And then the last one that I talk about in my typical energy healing session, which lasts, by the way, up to 90 minutes, is obviously the crown. And the crown is sort of like accumulation of the work that I do in one session, where I ask the client to visualize like a fountain of violet color wrapping around them, like a donut shape, toroidal shape, and flowing back through the feet and circulating again up the spine, because the central nervous system is where everything is really located. So this is like our superstructure. This is the tower through which we can grow, we can expand. So we need to have that structure for anything long-lasting to become our experience. There has to be solid foundation, and there has to be a discipline every day to make sure we cultivate a process that works for us, and combine it with the surrender to achieve the state of flow. So the crown and that fountain, that flow, is a representation of that fluidity of the accumulative processes when we tap into different energy centers and we push the energy upwards. We alchemize it through each center to create that secretion of spiritual nature that is also life affirming, that is life itself, that is creation itself, that is powerful agent for bliss, manifestation, happiness. This is like a building block for an existence that is worth living. So this is part of what I do, again, not fully in depth, but I'm excited to be sharing this with you soon. I have a new website. It's called thesamebalanceisperfection.com, but it's a new layout. Feel free to check it out, and I will keep you posted when my course is ready. The course will include, of course, your attunement, online attunement, and there will be like Q&A session as well after each session. After each level. You can ask me questions. There will be opportunity to clear things, and there will be plenty of practices to help you tap into that part of you that is eternal, that is absolute, and is just dancing and eager to work with these tools. So you will receive that as a part of each level apprenticeship that you choose to do with me. It is still going to be part of Usui Reiki lineage, because this is what I am trained in. But again, over time, I realized that I can do much more using different additional techniques to create sort of a psychic surgery experience for people. And the good part is that a lot of them talk about this experience as life-changing, transcendental, the biggest spiritual experience they have ever had. These are really big words, and I feel like after conducting 6,000-7,000 of these sessions with hypnosis, I am quite qualified to teach you these techniques. So I look forward to working with you closely very soon, sending you lots of love from this magnificent Sunset Beach. I will show you this place as well. Look how peaceful. This is the dive shop. Feel free to post questions, any kinds of comments, if this video inspired you to do so. With light and love, I wish you a wonderful day, and I will be in touch soon. Namaste.